G'day, ZiggyD here and welcome back for some more Path of Exile. Today I have a guide for you guys to the boss slugging method. This is a trick you can use using the new Talismans to make boss fights a lot easier. When you drop a talisman on the ground, monsters nearby will be inclined to pick it up, and this also goes for most bosses. There are some exceptions and there are some tricks to get through some of those exceptions. We'll go through that a little later on. But the important point is once a boss or an enemy picks up one of these talismans, they gain an extra effect, a buff, that will usually make them harder to kill. However, with the Deadhand Talisman just here, what this one actually does is causes them to spawn a constant supply of slugs, these little slug creatures. They're not very threatening, they deal a small amount of damage, but the most important thing is these things are constantly spawned, and if you're just using an AoE skill, then you're going to be killing them and giving yourselves consistent charges. Now, there is a secondary effect to the Deadhand Talisman that causes a monster to have volatile so that they'll explode when you kill them. This would normally be quite deadly, especially on something like a boss with boss HP, but thankfully, unique bosses don't actually explode. They can't gain that effect, so you're basically just left with free slug kills that give you tons of charges. So I'll show you how this works here on Brutus. I'll take off my, my buffs here so I don't kill him too quickly. So what we're going to do is we're just going to drop this in the middle here. And he should pick that up. If not, there's a trick you can kind of get him to force and pick him up. Draw him onto it, and then, well, he's picked it up anyway, but I'll kind of show you anyway. Let's say you're fighting someone like Malachi, who will tend to keep spamming abilities no matter where you are in his little arena. There won't be a second where he'll be inclined to pick up the talisman because he'll be focused on attacking you. The easiest solution to this problem, if the boss is being a little stubborn and not picking him up, is to portal out, to portal back in, and to stand in grace period here. When you're in grace period, the boss can't actually target you, like he doesn't actually know you're there, so they'll just, stand there, move around, shuffle around a little bit, be under their own kind of free will AI for a while, and during that time, they'll pick up the Deadhand Talisman. So now, we can start attacking Brutus just here, and you'll notice he is spawning a constant array of bugs just there, a constant array of slugs, and I can basically spam my flasks as much as I want while I stand here, and never really run out. Doesn't really matter if, normally bosses have like a balanced amount of flask charges they give you. Brutus only gives his skeletons in his second kind of half of his life. And then you also have things like Duresso, who only gives you a couple of charges through the fight. When he goes into his down status, you get hardly any charges in the Duresso fight. Something like adding the slugs to the Duresso fight is going to make it a hell of a lot easier because he's going to be constantly giving you charges. So, pretty nice, pretty cute little method of using what would normally be a negative buff to have on a boss to actually make boss fights a lot easier, and I'm basically using this on any boss I fight. Used it on Val, used it on Brutus, used it on Malachi, and it's made all of those fights a lot easier. You can just have a bunch of instant heal flasks and just constantly spam them. And never really run out of mana either, because constantly spamming your mana flask. Another really nice thing to note about this method is that in addition to flask charges, if you're using a build that scales its damage exponentially with more targets, then you're going to gain a crap ton more single target damage against the bosses using this method. Let's say something like PS Kinetic Blast, right? Every time it hits an enemy, it procs a heap of explosions, and the more enemies, the more explosions, the more damage you deal. Using Deadhand Talisman, the boss slugging method on Kinetic Blast PS builds, or maybe like cast on crit builds, you're going to have a much easier time and a much faster time with the boss fights even. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. That's it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.